Welcome back to AI from Zero to Hero, Episode 8. 7 episodes in, you understand AI deeply. How it learns, how it sees, how it speaks, how it's transforming every industry on Earth. Today, we slow down. Because with great power comes great responsibility. And AI is making some serious mistakes. Mistakes that are costing people their jobs, their loans, their freedom, in some cases, their lives. This is the episode that most AI courses skip. The hard questions, the uncomfortable truths, AI ethics, bias, explainability, privacy, regulation, and who is responsible when it all goes wrong. By the end of today, you will be one of the rare people who understands both the power and the pitfalls of artificial intelligence. That balance is what makes you genuinely valuable in the AI age. Let's get into it. Let me start with a scenario that is happening to real people right now, all over the world. Meet Priya Sharma, 34 years old, credit score of 798. Excellent. 8 years in stable employment. 0 late payments. Ever. Annual income of 18 lakhs. She applies for a home loan. The bank's AI system processes her application in 3 seconds. Declined. Reason given, algorithmic assessment. No further explanation. Priya calls the bank. They say they can't override the AI. They can't tell her why she was rejected, because the system is proprietary. What actually happened? The AI was trained on 10 years of the bank's loan data. That data reflected real historical decisions. And in that data, applications from Dharavi postcodes had higher default rates, not because people from Dharavi are less creditworthy, but because poverty and lack of opportunity historically led to higher financial stress. The AI learned Dharavi postcode equals higher risk. So when Priya's application came in, with her excellent credit, stable job, and clean history, the postcode feature overrode everything else. She was penalized for where she lives, not for anything she did. Now here is the crucial point. Was the AI evil? No. Was the AI intentionally racist? No. The AI did exactly what it was trained to do. It found patterns in historical data, and historical data reflected historical injustice. That is what AI bias means. Bias is not always intentional. It is often the result of feeding historically unfair data into a mathematically neutral system, and then scaling that unfairness to millions of decisions per day. The Priya example is fictional, but this next one is real, and it happened at one of the most technologically sophisticated companies on Earth, Amazon. In 2014, Amazon built an AI to screen job applications. For technical roles, they wanted to hire faster. They trained the AI on 10 years of CVs from people who had been hired and succeeded at Amazon. The problem? Over those 10 years, 90% of Amazon's technical hires were men. The AI didn't know about gender equality. It just found patterns in the data. And the pattern it found was successful candidates look like the people we hired before, who were mostly men. So the AI learned to penalize signals of femininity. It downgraded CVs that included the word women's, as in Women's Chess Club or Women's Coding Society. It also downgraded the names of all female colleges. Hundreds of qualified women were silently rejected, never made it to a human reviewer. Amazon discovered the bias in 2018. They scrapped the entire tool. Years of development, millions of dollars, all thrown away because the training data was biased. Now, let me give you the framework to understand why this keeps happening. There are 5 types of AI bias. Type 1, historical bias. Training data reflects past discrimination. Example, the loan data I just described. Type 2, representation bias. Training data lacks diversity. Example, facial recognition systems that work poorly on dark-skinned faces because the training set was predominantly light-skinned. Type 3, measurement bias. The wrong proxy metric is used. Example, using postcode as a proxy for creditworthiness. Type 4, aggregation bias. One model applied to everyone, when different groups need different approaches. Example, using the same diabetes risk model for all ethnicities when disease presentation differs. Type 5, deployment bias. AI used in a context different from how it was trained. Example, a resume screening tool repurposed to decide who gets promoted internally. Different problem, different context. Model trained for one, used for the other. Knowing these 5 types means you can spot bias before it causes harm. So the natural next question is, if we know AI can be biased, can't we just make it fair? The answer is shockingly complicated, because there is no single agreed definition of fairness. And mathematically, this is proven. You cannot satisfy all definitions of fairness simultaneously. This is called the impossibility theorem of fairness. Let me show you 3 common definitions. Definition 1, demographic parity. This says equal approval rates across groups. If 60% of male applicants get loans, then 60% of female applicants should too. Sounds fair, right? But the problem is, it ignores legitimate differences in risk. If the 2 groups genuinely have different default rates for verified financial reasons, is it fair to ignore that? Definition 2, equal opportunity. This says equal true positive rates. If the AI correctly identifies 90% of creditworthy people in Group A, it must do the same for Group B. Better, but achieving it might require setting different thresholds for different groups, which itself feels controversial. Definition 3, individual fairness. This says similar individuals should be treated similarly. 2 people with identical financial profiles should get identical decisions, regardless of their demographics. The problem? Defining similar is itself subjective. Similar in what dimensions? Who decides? Here is the key insight. Every definition of fairness involves a value trade-off. These are not technical questions. They are moral and political questions. And the danger is that AI systems are making these moral choices invisibly, buried inside code that most people never see. Related to the fairness problem is something called the black box problem. And this one might be the most practically important concept in this entire episode. A black box AI is one where you give it inputs, it gives you an output, and it cannot explain how it got from one to the other. Look at the diagram on screen. Inputs, your age, income, postcode, credit score, device type. Output, declined. What happened in between? Nobody can tell you. Not the bank, not the developer, not the regulator. This creates 3 serious problems. Problem 1, the doctor's dilemma. An AI system tells a doctor, high cancer risk, but it can't say why. The doctor cannot explain to the patient why they need an invasive biopsy. Legally and ethically, this is a serious problem. Problem 2, the judge's dilemma. In the US, a system called Compass was used to predict whether a convicted criminal was likely to reoffend. Judges used these scores in sentencing decisions. The algorithm was proprietary. Defendants could not challenge it. They did not know what factors were used or how they were weighted. People had their sentences influenced by an algorithm they could not question. Problem 3, the consumer's right. Under EU GDPR Article 22, if an AI makes a significant automated decision about you, you have a legal right to an explanation, not the algorithm decided. An actual explanation. Now the good news. There is a growing field called XAI, Explainable AI, tools that make black box models interpretable. LIME, Local Interpretable Model Agnostic Explanations, tells you which specific features most influenced this particular decision about this particular person. SHAP, Shapley Additive Explanations, assigns every input feature a contribution score. Your postcode contributed -0.3. Your credit score contributed +0.7. Counterfactuals, what-if explanations. If your postcode had been Bandra instead of Dharavi, with all other factors the same, you would have been approved. A model that cannot explain itself cannot be trusted in high-stakes decisions. Explainability is not a nice-to-have. In regulated industries, it is a legal requirement. Let's talk about privacy, because this section will make you look at your phone very differently after today. Here is a statement that should stop you cold. You have never given Google, Facebook, or Amazon your medical history, income, or relationship status. Not directly, but they know, because they inferred it from your behavior. Let me show you how. You Googled stomach pain after eating 3 times this month. Inference, possible digestive disorder. Your health insurance profile has been updated. You paused on baby product ads for more than 3 seconds. On 2 occasions. Inference, possible pregnancy. Target famously inferred a teenager was pregnant before her family knew and sent baby coupons to her home. Your phone is stationary at 2 a.m. most nights. At the same location, not a hotel. Inference, you live alone. Sleep pattern tracked. Loneliness score potentially flagged. You scroll slowly through political content that you never share or like. Inference. Political alignment classified. You're in a targeting segment. You have 40 contacts in your phone aged 55 and above. Inference. Income bracket and family structure estimated. This is happening right now. On your device. Without explicit consent. Your rights under GDPR in Europe. Right to access what data is held about you. Right to correct it. Right to have it deleted. Right to object to automated processing. Right to data portability. In India, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act of 2023 is our first comprehensive data privacy law. It requires consent before processing personal data. It gives individuals rights over their data. It is still being fully implemented, but the direction is clear. Know your rights, because your data is being used to make decisions about your credit, insurance, employment, and the content you see every single day. When AI causes harm, people want to know one thing above all else. Who is responsible? Let me give you a real scenario. An AI medical diagnosis system reviews a patient's scan. It says, no cancer detected. The patient is not treated. 6 months later, they are diagnosed with advanced cancer. It was missed by the AI. It was visible in the original scan. The patient dies. Who is liable? The AI developer? They built the model. They chose the training data. They set the trade-off between accuracy and speed. They knew the error rate. Yes, potentially liable if the model had known limitations that were not disclosed. The hospital, the deployer, they chose this system. They integrated it into clinical workflow. They had a duty to validate it before using it on real patients. Yes, potentially liable for inadequate due diligence. The doctor? They accepted the AI output without applying their own independent clinical judgment. Professional duty requires questioning AI results, especially when something doesn't feel right. Possibly, depending on whether a reasonable clinical review would have caught the error. The regulator? They either approved this medical AI device or failed to regulate it adequately. Systemic accountability will likely trigger investigation and legislative response. Here is the uncomfortable truth. In most of the world today, clear legal liability for AI harm is still undefined, which is why the EU AI Act of 2024 is so significant. It is the world's first comprehensive AI law, and it establishes legal liability explicitly. High-risk AI systems in healthcare, employment, credit must meet strict requirements before deployment. Both developers and deployers can be held legally accountable. Fines for non-compliance, up to 35 million euros, or 7% of global annual revenue, whichever is higher. This is real. This is law. This is enforceable. Let me give you a quick tour of how different countries are approaching AI regulation. The EU AI Act 2024. This is the most comprehensive AI regulation in the world. Risk-based. For tiers. Unacceptable risk, banned entirely. Social scoring systems. Real-time mass facial recognition in public. AI that manipulates children's behavior. High risk, allowed but strictly regulated. Medical devices. CV screening. Credit scoring. Biometric ID. Critical infrastructure. Must be registered, audited, and explained. Limited risk. Must disclose AI nature. Chatbots must tell you they're AI. Deepfakes must be labeled. Minimal risk. No rules needed. Spam filters. AI-powered games. The United States. No federal AI law yet. An executive order in 2023 sets some safety requirements. Regulation is happening sector by sector. The FDA regulates AI medical devices. The FTC regulates AI advertising. Fragmented. Evolving rapidly. China. Strict generative AI regulations since 2023. All large language models must be registered with the government. AI content must align with socialist values. Heavy state involvement in AI governance. India. The DPDP Act 2023, our first digital privacy law. A national AI strategy is in place. Specific AI legislation is still in development. India's approach leans toward enabling innovation, rather than restricting it. United Kingdom. Pro-innovation. No new AI-specific law. Existing regulators apply their domain expertise to AI. Financial AI regulated by FCA. Medical AI regulated by MHRA. The direction globally is clear. AI governance is coming everywhere. The question is only how strict and how fast. Despite the problems we've discussed today, the major AI companies are not ignoring ethics. They have publicly committed to responsible AI principles. Microsoft has 6 principles: fairness, reliability and safety, privacy and security, inclusiveness, transparency, and accountability. These are not just words on a website. Microsoft has a dedicated responsible AI team of hundreds of people. They review products for compliance with these principles before release. Google has 6 AI principles. Be socially beneficial. Avoid creating or reinforcing bias. Be built for safety. Be accountable to people. Incorporate privacy by design. Uphold high standards of excellence. And notably, Google has also published a list of AI applications they will not pursue. Weapons optimization, surveillance tools that violate international norms. This is rare and worth acknowledging. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, was founded specifically because its founders had safety concerns about where AI was heading. Their approach, constitutional AI, rather than just training on human feedback. Claude is trained against a set of written principles, a constitution of values. The core commitments: harmlessness, honesty, and helpfulness. In that order. Human oversight at every stage of development. Frontier AI safety research as the core mission. Are these frameworks perfect? No. Are they self-policed? Largely yes, which is a legitimate concern. But they represent a genuine commitment that these conversations are happening at the highest levels of these organizations. The key insight is this: all 3 share a common thread. AI must benefit humanity. It must be transparent. And humans must always remain in control. That is the baseline, and it is non-negotiable. Let me close this episode with something practical, because understanding the problems is only valuable if it changes how you act. As a consumer, when AI makes a significant decision about you, a loan rejection, an insurance premium, a job screening, ask why. You have a right to know. Request your data under DPDP in India or GDPR in Europe. Know what is held about you. It will surprise you. Do not accept the algorithm decided as a final answer. Escalate to a human. Demand a review. Report discriminatory AI decisions to the company, to regulators, and if necessary, publicly. Sunlight is the best disinfectant. As an IT or AI professional, audit your training data for bias before deploying any model. Ask, who does this data represent? Who is missing from this data? Demand explainability from any AI system used in high-stakes decisions in your organization. No black boxes in HR, credit, or clinical settings. Implement human-in-the-loop for every consequential decision. AI recommends. Human decides. Document every AI system you deploy. What does it do? Who owns it? How is it trained? What are its known limitations? These are not bureaucratic tasks. They are ethical responsibilities. Episode 8 Key Takeaways. AI bias comes from biased training data, not from malicious intent. There are 5 types: historical, representation, measurement, aggregation, and deployment bias. The black box problem, AI that can't explain itself, cannot be trusted in high-stakes decisions. The EU AI Act 2024 bans the most harmful AI, strictly regulates high-risk AI, and can fine companies up to 7% of global revenue. Microsoft, Google, and Anthropic all have responsible AI frameworks, imperfect but real commitments. And you have a role to play, both as a consumer who knows their rights and as a professional who builds and deploys AI responsibly. In Episode 9, AI Agents and Agentic AI. What happens when AI doesn't just answer questions, but takes actions, books flights, runs code, sends emails, manages workflows, all on your behalf, autonomously? This is where AI gets genuinely exciting and genuinely risky. Episode 9 next. If today challenged your thinking, like, subscribe, ring that bell, and comment which AI bias example from today disturbed you most. See you in Episode 9.